Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, January 3rd, 2018.
Commissioner Repenning, Commissioner James, Commissioner Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, John Olinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Shram Kargani, LA Sanitation.
Good morning, Reza Shahmizadeh, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive a speaker card on item number 22 for today's agenda.
Okay, then let's close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Agenda items 1 through 9 are assessment hearings for council districts 3, 8, 10, and 13. Do we have Ruben Flamenco? There you are. Well, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
Go right ahead.
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 pertain to lighting districts, which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Items 2 and 5 pertain to lighting districts, which we are creating in conjunction with MTA's Crenshaw Transit Corridor project. Ballots for items 1 through 9 were mailed on November 21st, 2017. Ballots for items 1 through 9 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, January 10th. We have not received any objections to date on items 1 through 9. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 1 through 9 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions? No objections on 1 through 9. Any questions? Without any questions, I'll make a motion. I'll second Commissioner Jacinto's motion that we adopt agenda items 1 through 9. Any issues sending those forthwith? We'll send those forthwith. I should have opened the meeting by saying Happy New Year to everyone, so I'll do it now before people start leaving after their items are called. Happy New Year, everyone. Here's to a good 2018. Agenda item number 16. Specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 15 for the Machado Lake Pipeline Project Eastern Ranch. The bid receipt date is Wednesday, February 14th, 2018. The estimate is $15,500,000. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 16 forthwith? By Commissioners Repenning and Jacinto, the order passes accordingly. Agenda item number 17, release of a stop payment notice, Pacific West Space Communications has transmitted the release of a stop notice in the amount of $97,988.23 for furnishing labor, tools, and equipment for horizontal directional drilling in connection to the West Side Unit 1 series to multiple high voltage conversion 2016-17 street lighting project, the contractor for which is Servitech Solutions. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 17 forthwith? By Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 18, release of a stop payment notice, Pacific West Space Communications has transmitted the release of a stop payment notice in the amount of $111,074 for furnishing labor, tools, and equipment for horizontal directional drilling in connection to the West Side Unit 3 series to multiple high voltage conversion fiscal year 2016-17 street lighting project. The contractor is Servitech Solutions. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 18 forthwith? By Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 19, the release of a stop payment notice, Ventura Directional Drilling Incorporated has transmitted the release of a stop payment notice in the amount of $121,180.13 for furnishing horizontal directional drilling in connection with the West LA Playa del Rey series to multiple high voltage conversion fiscal year 16-17 street lighting project. The contractor is Servitech Solutions. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 19 forthwith by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 20, the release of a stop payment notice, Ventura Directional Drilling Incorporated has transmitted the release of a stop payment notice in the amount of $118,544.62 for furnishing horizontal directional drilling in connection with the Bel Air Beverly Crest Unit 1 series to multiple high voltage conversion fiscal year 16-17 street lighting project. The contractor is Servitech Solutions. Is there a second to my motion that we receive number 20 forthwith? By Commissioner Cento. Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 21, stop payment notice Rexel Incorporated. Silverman Theologu LLP, counsel for Rexel, has transmitted a stop payment notice in the amount of $197,278.54 for furnishing labor and material in connection with the Bel Air Beverly Crest Unit 1 Series to multiple high voltage conversion fiscal year 16-17 street lighting project. The contractor is Servitech Solutions. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 21 forthwith by Commissioner Cento? Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 10, Council Districts 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. Task Order Solicitation number 38, HNTB Corporation, the Complete Streets Program, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to HNTB from the pre-qualified on-call civil design services consultants list for the project management and design services with a budget authority of $4 million. On number 10, Mr. Haskett.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year again. I'm John Haskell with the Bureau of Engineering, Complete Streets Division. I'm here, as it was stated, to ask for the award of Task Order 38 to HNTB to provide the project management, design, and construction management services. The street has, well, as it reads here, over 2,400 centerline miles of failing streets, along with, and they also have, so there's a corridor, they've come up with a list of the corridors with failing streets as well as high injury network. From those, 6 projects were identified for construction, for design and construction for 17-18 and continuing into 18-19. We advertised a task order solicitation from the civil design services list, and all 10 firms were contacted. One response was received from HNTB. HNTB was interviewed. They were determined to be able to provide the services very adequately. They're very good. There's $4 million budgeted for the design, construction, and project management services. The outreach is, the requirements are 12% MBE and 2% WBE. They are pledging 12% MBE and 7% WBE. Any questions?
Any questions at all? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. John, good to see you, and thank you for this. This is important in terms of rebuilding our infrastructure in these areas. There's 6 that we have,
That is correct.
And we have another cycle
Correct.
In a couple of years. The question I have is regarding the community outreach and the input to the scope of work. We understand when there's work done in the streets, there's impact to neighborhoods, to residents, to travelers. Do you feel that we've done enough public outreach?
DOT has started the process of outreach, meeting with the council districts and the community councils, neighborhood councils. As we get into design, getting closer to construction, we will have the Public Affairs Office go out with the engineers and to meet with the community groups, neighborhood councils. We've met, we will meet with them and brief them. If there are questions, we'll give them numbers to call, people to contact.
Okay, John, thank you. And the second question I had is regarding the bidding process. We have 10 on the pre-qualified list of consultants, and we've only received 1. What's your analysis of that?
We contacted all 10 of them and asked them in depth why they did not respond. They are busy with other work, except for HNTB,
Okay.
which is probably busy with other work also, however.
All right, then that will be the record for that, I guess. But it's interesting that we didn't get any other bids on that type of work. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Haskell. When you reached out, did you reach out to all of the others?
Sir,
Wow. Okay.
I made multiple phone calls and emails and got confirmation 2 or 3 times.
So the market's busy. Okay. Thank you for the question. Commissioner Sendos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 10. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of November 29th, 2017? By Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 11, task order solicitation number 14 and budget increase, Rios Clemente Hale Studios, Greek Theater Facility Enhancement Phase 3, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of the task for solicitation number 14 to RCHS, increasing the budget authority from $300,000 to $900,000 for architectural design services. Mr. Sang?
Good morning, Commissioners. Paul Sang, Bureau Engineering. As stated, this is a request to increase the budget authority of the task order solicitation, task order number 14 for Rios Clemente Studio, Hale Studios for the Greek Theater project, and then the increases from the previously approved $300,000 to $900,000 for a net increase of $600,000. And as you may be aware, Greek Theater City took possession, or is returned to city's hands 2 years ago in 2015, a little bit more than 2 years ago, for a model called the operations and management by the city staff, namely the Department of Recreation and Parks. So since then, we've been working closely with Rec and Parks to perform capital improvements during the off seasons. So we have completed phase 1 and phase 2 in the last 2 years before the beginning of the concert seasons 2016 and 2017. So we're now at phase 3, which is getting ready to be completed by March this year. Right before the start of the 2018 concert season. So the scope of this current phase is mainly to upgrade existing box suites, and also resulting in a net increase of 3 VIP boxes from the existing 19 boxes to a new 22. And then also the scope for this current phase includes the restoration of the original historic entry gates. They're nicknamed the elephant doors. They are 4 pairs of them. They will be completely restored off-site to its original shape and condition. So in terms of the originally approved budget authority for Rios, the $300,000 have been completely exhausted during the last 2 phases of improvements, and we have issued a total of 8 NTPs to Rios for various design services, and so right now we're asking an increase of $600,000 for the current phase, part of the current phase, and also for all the future phases of improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. As I read the board report, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but as I read it, it sounds like this is going to be this would be the final request in this area, that this additional scope and additional contingency for these services, we're not going to hear from you guys anymore on it. Is that right?
For the time being, we try to capture everything. We actually made a master list of all the foreseeable capital improvements in terms of short-term and long-term. So this will cover most of the short-term scope that we have identified. And in terms of the long-term arrangements, improvements, that would be, that could require additional, if we should decide to go with the Rios to provide design services for those. And those might require actually skipping concert seasons. So that'll be, that's not going to happen in the foreseeable future.
Okay. Commissioner Cento?
Thank you. Paul, thank you for this too. I've seen that, the 2 seasons where we've worked in between getting ready for the next season. We've done great work. Appreciate the relationship and the partnership with the Recreation and Parks. and your team, working with the consultants, have done a great job on the improvement so far. I would like to ask you a question. If you have the answer, you can get back to us on that. In terms of the improvements to the box seats. Box seats are premium prices, and as it is now a city asset, the Greek Theater,
Right.
and we're taking ownership, and we have actually an RFP coming out for operations in the next future. I'd like to understand the economic impact of improving those and sort of where these premium boxes, sort of the revenue from that sits within the whole kind of revenue from a single show. If you can get back to us on that, that'd be great to understand that, because I think the improvements are appropriate and they're strategic, and to have those stencils and have everything kind of, we're bringing the Greek back, and as we move forward in the future, it's a great asset to the city. So thank you to your team and Mahmoud and everybody and Rec and Parks for working with us on that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Sindo, you can share that with me. I'd be interested in seeing that as well. Interesting question. Anything further on number 11? Commissioner Sindo's made a motion on number 11. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Thank you, sir. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Any issue sending number 11 forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Number 12, Council District 11, change order number 102. Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant segment of the Los Angeles Wastewater Control System Replacement Program, recommending that the board authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to issue an additional change order number 102 in the amount of $281,812.88 and 29 additional working days of scheduled relief to Honeywell International for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant segment of the Los Angeles Wastewater Control System Replacement Program, also referred to in the Los Angeles Wastewater Integrated Network System, the LA WINS system. Mr. Pusti, how are you, sir? Happy New Year.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Happy New Year, everyone. Reps, Mr. Jordan, and Mr. Campos. My name is Ali Pusti. I'm with the Bureau of Sanitation. Today I'm here to request the authority to issue additional change order in the amount of $281,812.88 and 29 additional working days of scheduled relief to Honeywell International Incorporated for the wastewater control system replacement program. On December 14th of 2011, the Board of Public Works awarded the contract to Honeywell in the amount of $97,500,000 including contingency for the replacement of the control systems at 4 treatment plants and the collection system, all 5 segments, including all the water reclamation plants as well as collection system. As part of the contract, the Honeywell was to conduct a field verification and for them to be able to prepare the software and hardware according to that field verification at that time, which they conducted that between 2012 and 2014. However, when they went through the cutover, which really started in November of 2015, water reclamation plants, there had been changes and modifications to those program control modules. Therefore, the Honeywell had to redo some of the work again and had to field verify again and go redo some of the software programming as well as hardware programming. As a result, Honeywell requested additional compensation for that of about a little bit over $900,000, which through negotiations we were able to bring it down to a little bit over $280,000.
I just want to put an exclamation point on that as you're going through your presentation. That was a negotiated process to get to that number, right?
That is correct.
So they had a number, we had a number, we met somewhere in between.
Correct.
And you were satisfied with the results of the negotiation?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I got the numbers in the briefing. I was satisfied as well.
Thank you so much. Yes. The initial amount was considerably higher than what we negotiated. I think we got an extremely very good deal on that. Very happy with the result. Today I'm here to ask you authorization for a little over $280,000 to issue that change order and close that change order request. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
Well, the only other thing I would mention is this is a big project.
Absolutely.
You're at 102 change orders.
Correct.
and when somebody sees that, they're like, whoa, looks like problems. We've asked you to do this before, but there's space in between presentations, and
Absolutely.
time passes, and people forget, and the record, unless we put an exclamation point on it, isn't going to clearly reflect it. What percentage of the project are we in the change order world?
Just to give you a little background on this. Thank you so much for the question, by the way. I think it's a great question. This is really a huge project. This project is really 5 projects within one, because it really touches every asset that wastewater program owns, excluding about 60 or so pumping stations, which we've done at a later time. But almost every asset is touched through this project. As a result, and this is a very long project. It started in late 2011, early 2012, and it's, by the time construction is constructed, in about a year and a half from now, will be 7 or 8 years in construction alone. We are about 50% plus, about 70% at Hyperion segment, about 40% at the Terminal Island segment, and about 20% at Donaldson Team and at Los Angeles Glendale segment. So we are almost 2/3 of the way there, and we have another about a year and a half, 1/3 away to go, maybe. And we feel that this is the 102 number may be deceiving, but it's really this mostly does talk about this number specifically is about scope changes, and there were no cost change orders. In other words, we either had to modify the scope, redefine the durations, and change some of the schedules. That's what the change order, and modify the scope. So that's what really the number is, really not the total amount of it was. We are at 1.9% today of the total amount of the change order allowed, 10%. And we feel that we are managing this in the right way at this time.
Thank you. Anything further on agenda item number 12? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12. Is there a second on number 12 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll send number 12 forthwith. Let's go to an oral reports, because we have some folks in the private sector that need to get back to their jobs. That we go ahead and just get the oral status update. Number 23, oral status update from the Bureau of Engineering on execution of the settlement change orders for the Los Angeles Police Department Police Academy project, replacement training facility and administration building cafe, and 4 shooting ranges renovation project. We'll start with you, Mr. Kawaguchi. I think you're just going to tell us that the settlement change order that the board approved in a extensive set of hearings was executed prior to the end of the last calendar year, correct?
Alan Kawaguchi, the Bureau of Engineering. That's correct. It was actually signed by the Kemp Brothers on December 27th, 2017. Fully executed on January 2nd of this year. So our time clock, they had only asked for a 60-day window to get everything resolved or paid and whatnot, 60 days from the time that they executed or they signed. So our clock is ticking from the 27th of December, and we'll be bringing it back to the board for final closeout within that time frame.
Okay. Thank you. We have 2 speaker cards. We have, and gentlemen, you've been with us before. Whichever order you'd like to go, Mr. Reddig, Mr. Saggart, just one at a time would be my only request. Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. And glad to be back under these circumstances. So briefly, Mark Reddig, Kemp Brothers Construction. I'm here to thank this board for hearing us through this long and arduous process, but resolution's been gotten. What we don't want to do is lose sight of the urgency of getting these processes done, payments released, etc. We've come to terms on a joint change orders that get us paid for dollars due. Retention's very important to Kemp right now, with various subcontractors behind us. So if we can somehow keep this on a radar, we don't want to come to terms and then lost in the cave of darkness. So this is an urgency request. Let's just keep us posted until this closes out and we all part ways, okay?
Great.
That's what we asked for.
We hear you, and we thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Campos there, who handles those issues for our office, is sitting right there. We have Mr. Saggart? The CFO.
Yep.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone for helping us get this resolved as well. I just wanted to let everybody know that we're making every effort to get all requested information turned in. And at this point, I do believe that we have submitted all information. So you have our commitment to getting this moved forward so that we can get these funds collected and paid out as well.
Well, thank you. And let me just say, at least from my perspective, it was an interesting process for us, as I think it was for you. We appreciate the professional nature with which all of these discussions and negotiations were approached by your side. So we appreciate that and glad that the resolution worked out as it did. So thank you both. And your request is duly noted. So the oral report, and unless anybody else has any questions or comments, the oral report will be received on number 23. Let's go back to agenda item number 13, Council District 2, tree removal, 5101 through 5125 North Lankershim Boulevard. Recommending that the board first certify that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration for the project at 5101 North Lankershim Boulevard and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Secondly, find that the project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described addendum to the MND as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the addendum to the MND and incorporated herein as project conditions, and that there is no substantial evidence that the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. 3, find that the project's conflict with any local policies or ordinances protecting biological resources, such as tree preservation policies or ordinances, is less than significant with the incorporation of the mitigation measures on pages MM-BIO-2 as contained in the addendum to the MND. Number 4, adopt the addendum to the MND. Number 5, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is the custodian of the documents and other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And number 6, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 4 Chinese tallow trees and 2 Mexican palm trees. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson.
President James, Commissioners, Board Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir. These are not protected trees, are they?
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Under the ordinance 177404, they are not, but under 15356, 500, they're protected. They need a permit to remove, but they're not a protected species.
Got it.
Hayes Capital Management is constructing a new mixed-use development project comprising of a 7-story structure with 297 units for residential family housing over a ground floor commercial space in addition to an at-grade parking level with 2 levels of subterranean parking. The project is located at 5101 through 5125 North Lankershim Boulevard on an irregularly shaped project site. The development property has one portion fronting Otsego Street to the south, Lankershim Boulevard to the east, with another portion of the development fronting Clump Street to the west. As part of City Planning Case DIR 2015-2676 DBSPR and contained in the entitlements are Bureau of Engineering requirements including street widening and other related improvements. Mr. Jason Berensky, property owner representative, applied to the Bureau of Engineering for a construction Class B permit to widen the streets as part of the conditions to construct the project. The Bureau informed Mr. Berensky the required street widening may necessitate street tree removals. Therefore, Mr. Berensky contacted the Bureau of Street Services requesting the project site be inspected to determine what impacts will be on the street trees due to the necessary street widening. A Bureau arborist inspected the location on September 12, 2017. The inspection revealed 5 Chinese tallow trees growing on North Lankershim Boulevard and 2 Mexican fan palm trees growing on West Otsego Street. The Chinese tallow trees are in fair condition and measure approximately 9 to 20 inches in diameter by 30 to 35 feet in height and are growing in 4 by 8 tree wells. The 2 Mexican fan palm trees are in good condition and measure approximately 14 to 18 inches in diameter by 60 feet in height and are growing in 2 feet circular tree wells. The trees will be in the footprint of the proposed roadway and severely impacted by the required street widening. Within the contents of the letter of determination, Bureau of Engineering condition of approval 18 requires the developer to widen North Lancashire Boulevard from a 33 feet half roadway to a 40 feet wide half roadway, and West Otsego Street from a 13 feet half roadway to a 20 feet half roadway. This required street widening will severely impact these trees. Jackie Keene's 2nd Council District Office was informed of the pending tree removal request on December 22nd, 2017. Public comments on this tree removal request were received and heard both in writing and in person during the scheduled public hearing with the board. The following public notice of these tree removal permits were conducted. Notice of the proposed tree removal permits were physically posted on the subject trees on September 12th, 2017, and are still there. Proposed tree removals were included on the Bureau of Street Services tree removal notification system, and the Community Forest Advisory Committee was notified. The applicant, if approved, shall mitigate the tree loss by planting 5 24-inch box-sized Chinese tallow trees on North Lancashire Boulevard, 8 24-inch box-sized Magnolia Majestic Beauty trees on West Otsego Street, and 2 24-inch box-sized Golden Rain trees on North Clump Avenue to replace the removed trees. The Chinese tallow trees, magnolia trees, and golden rain trees shall be provided irrigation for a minimum of a 3-year period after planting. With that, the Urban Forestry Division and the Bureau of Street Services is recommending to the board that these trees will require removal and need a permit for that. So it's up to you guys to see if we can do that.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any questions on agenda item number 13. Any other questions? Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 13.
I'm confused. So, if
Our city attorney has raised the point.
yeah, so if Mr. Tyson could clarify whether there's 5 Chinese tallow trees to be removed, as stated in the title of the report, or 4, as stated in the recommendation,
On the agenda.
And on the agenda.
Yeah.
That might help alleviate my confusion.
Good point.
It's 5. Let me look here. There are 5 Chinese tallow trees and 2 Washingtonia fallifera, Mexican fan palm trees.
So, what I would propose is that, so if I, what?
I see it now, down here on number 4, it says
Yeah.
4. Yes.
So, here's what I'm thinking. Mr. Jordan, let me know if we're okay here. The permit and the board report are clear on the number of trees. Our agenda item, which is our notice, said 4 rather than 5. Is that right? What I would do is recommend that we haven't gotten any communications one way or the other opposing this. I would recommend that we adopt agenda item number, well, I'm going to make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 13, but that we not send it forthwith. And if some issue comes up regarding the agenda notice of 4 versus the permit, which says 5, then we can deal with it. Is that okay, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that, and also the CEQA documentation, including the addendum.
Has
I
5.
believe everything accurately described it.
Other than just the agenda.
So I think your caution to adopt the item not forthwith is appropriate.
Okay. And the next question is, because of what the agenda item said, do I need to adopt the item as amended?
Yes.
Okay. So I would amend, my motion would be to amend the notice to be 5, the 5 Chinese tallow trees and 2 Mexican fan palm trees. So that my motion is as amended. Is there a second on that? By Commissioner Cinto. Any objection? With that objection, we will adopt agenda item number 13. It will not go forthwith. If we have, as I anticipate, heard nothing requesting a motion for reconsideration by the end of Friday's meeting, then this item will be final.
I I will be here Friday as well.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 14, Council Districts 6 and 7, contract acceptance, Sun Valley EDA Public Improvements Project, Branford Street from San Fernando Road to the I-5 Federal Project number 07-7906545. Mr. McReynolds.
Morning, President James, Commissioners, and colleagues. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Request the project Sun Valley EDA Public Improvements be accepted today. On March 26, 2015, this project was awarded to John S. Meat Company on a competitive basis using the previously established on-call list, Geotech On-Call. The award amount was $4,772,894.20. The contract was for construction of improvements, including Green Street elements and 46 dry wells along Branford Street from in between I-5 and going easterly direction in CD 6 and 7. 19 change orders were issued in the contract, increasing it by 1.01%. However, that was 8.57% below the contract limit. Total cost of the contract was $4,821,204.11. All work, including final corrections, was completed January 18, 2017. Contractors comply with all EEO and labor requirements, and there are no unresolved property complaints. Any questions?
Commissioner Repenning.
We had a partnership with DWP on this project, correct? We ended up adding a bunch of
that was part of the
dry
funding
wells.
source, along with some federal funds. That was for the water conservation element. It was actually a pretty aggressive water conservation element. It went very successful.
It's stormwater capture.
Yes,
correct?
stormwater
We're
capture.
actually able to put
46 dry wells, including there was also a lot of Green Street elements, including curbs that actually re-watered, recharged the aquifer.
Great. Do we know how those dry wells are working?
I don't have an update on that, but I can get one and provide it for you. I know that when we completed the project, we didn't have any issues as of that point, and they had already been operating at that point.
Well, hopefully we'll get some rain soon.
Yeah, there you go. It'd be nice to try them out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Anything further? Is there a motion to adopt number 14 by Commissioner Repenning? I'll second it. Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. Happy New Year. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt number 14. Any issue sending number 14 forthwith? We will send 14 forthwith. Number 15, Council District 4, revised budget and construction order, emergency sewer repair along Elmer Avenue. This is the North Outfall Sewer Unit 28 project. First, authorize a revised construction budget of a not to exceed amount of $3,600,000 for the project. And 2, authorize the city engineer to issue revised construction orders for the project to Mladen Buntic to complete the project. Mr. Louie on number 15. Morning. Happy New Year, sir.
Good morning. Happy New Year. My name is Richard Louie with the Bureau of Engineering, and as mentioned, this board report is requesting authorization of a revised construction budget not to exceed $3.6 million and authorize issuance of revised construction orders for this project. Let me begin by giving a little bit of background. On August 3rd, 2017, the Bureau of Engineering was requested by the Bureau of Sanitation to initiate emergency sewer repair procedures to repair the deteriorated crown of a 48-inch north outfall sewer, which was damaged. It's located on Elmer Avenue and Aqua Vista Street in the Studio City area. Established emergency sewer repair, or ESR, procedures were followed, and Blois Construction Company, the next available on-call contractor on the top of the list, was mobilized. The initial emergency repair was to implement traffic control and place steel plates on top of the street where the deteriorated pipe was located. The cost estimate was at $100,000, which is within the city engineer's authority of issuing construction orders up to $500,000. After the initial repair or work was done, the engineer reviewed the CCTV, or the closed caption television video of the sewer, and found that several locations of deteriorated pipe with missing crown and voids was located in the sewer. Again, this is a 48-inch diameter semi-elliptical sewer, concrete sewer. Based on that CCTV, it was determined that approximately 700 feet of the north outfall sewer needs to be removed and replaced. This work would include removing and disposing of the existing sewer from the spring line, or about halfway, and above, and then putting back or replacing a 51-inch diameter sewer made out of fiberglass reinforced polymer material. The project will also include the construction of a 20-foot long transition structure with removable lids and a new 5-foot diameter maintenance hole, and the reconstruction of 11 chimneys and the reconstruction of 21 house connections, existing house connections. The Bureau of Engineering took this scope and did an expedited design package. Once we completed that package, we provided this to Blois Construction Company and 2 other on-call contractors, which are on the top of the ESR list, following ESR procedures. Cost proposals received were in the amount of $7,025,600 from Williams Pipeline, $4,321,753 from Blois Construction, and $3,055,235 from Malott and Buntage Construction. Excuse me. The engineer reviewed the cost proposals and found that the lowest cost proposal from Malott and Buntage is reasonable, and recommended the project be awarded to them. This project exceeds the city engineer's authority of $500,000. Therefore, on October 2nd, 2017, Commissioner Jacinto was briefed and authorized a not-to-exceed construction budget for $3.6 million on an emergency approval basis, with this board report to follow up for the board. So again, we are recommending authorization of a not-to-exceed budget of $3.6 million and authorize issuance of revised construction orders for this project. If that, have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Louie. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, Richard. Good to see you again. The quote from Williams, twice as much. Any thoughts on that in terms of they're on the pre-qualified on-call list? And we have, they're an outlier. What's your analysis?
That's a great question. They all were given the same exact documents, and for whatever reason, Williams Pipeline gave a higher bid. I don't have any analysis in front of me to be able to explain that. But I will say that they were all given the same documents, and with those documents, these were what the contractors came in at.
Because they're all the ones we go to first and we just rotate, it's important that we understand what are the deviations and why is there 100% deviation in that. Could you get back to me on that?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 15. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 15.
Thank you.
Mr. Louie, before you, I just want to put an exclamation point on the record that what we are doing here under the emergency sewer repair is an attempt to avoid problems that, while they have been significantly reduced in the city remarkably by the Department of Public Works and the Bureaus of Engineering and Sanitation,
yes,
we are attempting to avoid problems that have happened in the past that are a nuisance, to say the least, for our communities, correct?
That is absolutely true. We've had several instances in the past which have had issues with very large sewers like this, and we are trying to prevent issues like that continuing.
Great. Just to put it in a little context. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll send number 15 forthwith. Let's go. We have one more. We have an oral report left on our regular agenda, but we have a voting item on a special. So let's adjourn the regular meeting, and Dr. Campos, you can call the roll on the special meeting so we can get that voting item taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the special agenda, we have for roll call Commissioner Repenning, Commissioner James, Commissioner Jacinto. We do have a quorum, Mr. President. We did receive a speaker card on item number 1 on the special agenda.
Okay, no speaker cards on general public comment on the special agenda. On item number 1, special agenda, let me call it, then we'll go to the speaker card. Number 1, tree removal, Council District 4, permit extension, 1659 North Marley Drive, recommending that the board first find that the project is categorically exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 3, Category 1 of the City's Environmental Quality Act guidelines, and there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Secondly, find that none of the exceptions to the use of the categorical exemption as set forth in section 15300.2 of the state CEQA guidelines apply. 3, specify that the Bureau of Street Services, Urban Forestry Division located at 1149 South Broadway is the custodian of the documents and other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 4, approve the request for the extension of a previously approved and issued fee tree removal permit for 1 coast live oak tree and 10 Southern California walnut trees for new home construction. This is continued from a hearing that occurred on Wednesday, December 6th, 2017, and I know the parties have had subsequent discussions since then. Dr. Tom Williams, you have a card in on special 1. You're up, sir. Happy New Year, Dr. Williams.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club, Transportation Committee, and a few others. Basics on this one. I always love black walnut. We've been trying to save them in East LA for a long time. The basic issue here for this project is compare it to Friday's project. Here, we're going to replace the black walnuts with 1-gallon transplants. Whereas on Friday, you're going to have 5-gallon replacements. Here, you're going to have a 24-inch box for the Coast Live Oak. On Friday, 36-inch box, Coast Live Oak. Why the differences? Is it different geology? Is it a different biology? Is it a different anything? These are both house replacements. So I would highly recommend have a consistent format. If 36 is good for one place, why isn't 36 good for another place? Are they that environmentally justice different? I don't know. Maybe so. So that's one thing. There's also an issue, and we've been looking at it, the 3-year replacement bond for making sure that the trees that are planted actually survive and are promulgating themselves. I'd like to have records of every bond that has been issued, say over $10,000, for every tree replacement during the last 5 years, and how those bonds were eventually closed.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Appreciate it. Mr. Tyson, on special 1, in response to one of Dr. Williams, and you'll have your response, but my initial response to one of Dr. Williams' comments, I've grown, I started this belief, I think, in law school studying real property law, but it's confirmed in this job. I believe every project is different. There are different elements to every project that we deal with. But go ahead, Mr. Tyson. And procedurally, regarding a special agenda item number 1, we were here on this permit extension, and the community, through at least adjacent property owners, through Representative Jamie Hall, raised some questions on environmental and other grounds. They had offered to work with the developer / property owner, and we continued the item to see if they might work to a resolution. A fairly short time frame on this one compared to some of our others. And I did receive an email from Mr. Hall this morning at 7:52 a.m. That copied Mr. Tyson and our city attorney, as well as Mr. Campos and others related to the Doheny Sunset Plaza Neighborhood Association, that their client base has worked with the applicant to implement some design changes that will reduce the total number of protected trees to be removed. There were some other revisions to the project such that Mr. Hall has indicated that he and his client, they are withdrawing the objections to the project. So that takes that out of the record we have, but you have more details, I'm informed, for how you would like to amend possibly so we can go forward today. Go ahead, Mr. Tyson.
Thank you, President James. I'll answer Dr. Williams after I present this about the different sizes of tree planting and what's available and those type of conditions. Mr. Morelli, the applicant, owner, spoke with Mr. Hall and the opponents, and they worked out a solution, as you mentioned, and they stated that there were 3 trees going to be saved. However, it's only 2 extra trees, because one of the trees that they thought they were able to save was already being saved. So,
everybody's on the same page on that.
Right, I want to make sure. I spoke with Mr. Morelli, and I pointed out that in the board report and everything we did, tree number 17 was always supposed to be saved. So,
which was mentioned in the last hearing. But go ahead.
yes, absolutely. And yet we're saving the one oak tree that was permitted to be removed, which is a good thing because that keeps 3 oak trees on the property, as well as 1 black walnut, and then there's 3 real near walnut trees that are off-site, that are right next to the property line that will not be in need of removal. So the only change is from the discussion that they had, it's actually 9 walnut trees in total will need to be removed, whereas before, prior, the permit was for 10 walnuts and 1 oak tree. And those are the changes. They've moved the little guest house a little bit so they could save the oak tree and 1 other walnut tree.
And so, Mr. Tyson, you were copied by Mr. Hall's email as well, correct?
Yes.
And he's not here this morning knowing that this is going forward. He obviously sent us the email. So those are the amendments that the property owner agreed to, as you're informed, and Mr. Hall as well, correct?
I don't think Mr. Hall knew that tree number 17 is actually a tree that was not slotted for removal. He thought it was slotted for removal because Mr. Morelli had it on his map as slotted for removal, but it was never slotted for removal even in the original permit.
Understood, but it's being saved, correct?
Yes.
And that's Mr. Hall's goal here, correct?
Yes, that tree has always been saved, so therefore it's one of the trees.
So I'm not concerned moving forward on that.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions to it? Let me see if we have a. Now that it seems like we got this squared away, Mr. Oh, if we have questions, okay. I don't have any questions as long as everybody thinks we're on the same page. You're in the room, so that the record should reflect that Mr. Morelli is here. Thank you, sir, for your work on this. We have communications from Mr. Hall that I'm clear on. Mr. Tyson, Mr. Hall was aware of the details other than tree 17, which he's only going to be happy about if it's saving the tree.
Correct.
Because I know him well enough to know what his goals are here. So I'm comfortable moving forward with that. And no questions from my colleagues. So I would make a motion then that we grant or that we adopt special agenda item number 1 as amended. But before we take this forthwith, you were going to give Dr. Williams the courtesy of a response.
Absolutely, and I appreciate Dr. Williams' questions because it's definitely something that appears to be not balanced, and it appears to be we're doing one thing with one applicant and another with another. I just need to work with the report writers when they write the reports that on Southern California black walnut trees, it should state 1 to 15 gallon size or any size that you can get that's larger. 24-inch box size trees we cannot get. 15-gallon size trees are almost never able to be gotten, so that's why it says 1 to 5 gallons or 1 gallon size walnut, because they're a very strong tree out there in the environment that they are naturally in the environment. But anytime you try to propagate these type of trees, they have a really hard time growing them. So that's why we have a hard time finding them. And sometimes we'll even have oak trees planted instead of walnuts. If there's a walnut tree that comes out and mostly oaks, then we may plant all walnut or oak trees back. But this is a whole grove of walnut trees up here in this area, so we would like to see the walnuts hence go back in where they're naturally occurring at the best rate in that environment. But it's very hard to get any size bigger than 1, 5, or 15 gallon in walnuts. Yeah, and so last week when we have a city planning case and it is a 36-inch box size tree, is because it's already been mandated by city planning that they want 36-inch box trees to be planted. In the ordinance, it says 15-gallon size or larger. So we try to stick with 24-inch box size throughout, but just like I said, it's hard to get, in other words, Umbularia californica, which is the laurel tree, the oak tree, the sycamore trees. We can get 24s in those sizes, but we have a hard time with that with the walnut. So if we want to put back in walnuts where they're coming out, which is what the ordinance would like us to do, we have to put in these smaller ones. And they do pay a bond. And are you requesting 5 years worth of records of bonding?
And Mr. Tyson, I'll let you have an offline discussion
Okay,
with
fine.
Dr.
All right.
Williams on that. I think you've covered it on the record. But let me just be clear before we move this forthwith, that because the board report says, and I recognize that we've moved it as amended and approved it as amended, but approve the request for extension of a previously approved and issued fee tree removal permit for 1 coast live oak tree and 10 Southern California walnut trees for new home construction. What are the numbers now?
Now it will be a request to remove 9 Southern California black walnut.
And that's it?
That's it.
Okay. And that's the agreement between the parties?
Yes.
Okay. Is that clear enough for you, Dr. Campos?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So that's as amended, and that's what the extended permit will state, correct?
Yes, correct. We will write it up as exactly as what's actually going to be removed.
Okay. So that was my motion. Just so the record is clear, that's my
Sure.
motion, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number special 1 as amended, and without objection, we can send special 1 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morelli. And thank you to Mr. Hall as well, who's likely listening in. So, all right, there we go. Let's go back to our regular agenda. Agenda number 22. Oral report, status of contracts expiring within 90 days. Dr. Williams, you have a card in on number 22. Yes. Go ahead, sir. What? You want to hear the oral report first? We have 2 bureaus that are reporting. If you'd like to hear it first, that's fine with me. We can start with the Bureau of Engineering.
Hello, Reza Shamirzadeh. There are no personal services contracts that will be expiring from January 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2018. That concludes my report.
Okay, and on now let's move to, I've got, it looks like the Bureau of Sanitation, Ms. Ansley.
And Happy New Year. Felicia Ansley representing the Bureau of Sanitation. We have 2 contracts expiring in the next 90 days, and this is essentially the same that I reported on last month. One will be renewed with Myron Electric Construction Corporation, contract number 123701. It expires on March 9th, and it's for specialized high voltage services. They're going to be exercising their second of 3 one-year renewal options, and the board report is currently with my unit, the centralized contracts unit, and we're reviewing that. One contract will not be renewed with USA Waste California, contract number 113188, expires on March 17th, 2018. And it is for implementation of a multifamily residential recycling program. That one will not be needed anymore because of the implementation of Recycla. And that concludes my report.
Great, Thank you. Any questions for either the Bureau of Engineering or Sanitation? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Dr. Williams.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council Land Use Committee. We are dealing with curb cuts. However, we have a whole series of intersections, about 6 right now, current code, where there's 3 out of 4 of the curbs have been cut, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6 in one case. That is, you cut one curb at the corner, but the opposite corner has no curb cut. And in one case, a person in a wheelchair would have to go 20 feet to the nearest private driveway in order to access the sidewalk. These are already done. I thought they were going to finish that one curb, but it wasn't. How do we close contracts if we don't know what the scope of the contract was to begin with, and make sure that somebody somewhere has signed off on it being completed? At least in Parsons Corporation, we had to fulfill the work order or the contract. And in one case, it's clearly apparent. In a couple other cases, you force the wheelchair to go back to a private driveway in order to access the public sidewalk. So we're quite concerned regarding how things are being closed, because we have at least 6, and I'll bring them in on Friday or next week, as to the number of curb cuts for wheelchairs, ADA compliance, that have not been closed properly? Or did they just avoid the change order that might have been required because of bad design? So we're quite interested in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Dr. Campos, have we closed the all the items?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Then we are adjourned this Wednesday morning. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back.